Welcome to the 40-somethings Riders Show, proudly sponsored by FSRMTB, the Facebook group for the more discerning mountain biker. My name is Jan and I will be your host for this little YouTube show. At FSRMTB, we don't think that it is because you are past 40 that it is game over for you, and our group is all about building a community of like-minded riders of mixed ability and have the opportunity to meet up in group rides all over the country. Today's show is all about celebrating progression. I have noticed that a lot of the new members of the group are very new to the sport and are reluctant to join some of the group rides. So, coming up in this episode, a few members of the group are off to Twisted Oak to work on their jumping skills. Coach Paul will show you an exercise that you are not doing right now and explain to you why you should integrate it into your workout routine. I will then introduce you to Laura, who has started mountain biking just a few years ago and who is focused on developing her skills and her technique. We will then join Rico in the United States, who will talk to us about his own progression, and we will meet Justin and his Banshee, a member of the group that believes that a mountain bike can actually fly. And lastly, we will of course look at the results of a photo competition and this episode's new submissions. So enjoy the show. You will see it is broken down into little sections at the bottom so you can jump into the part of the show that you want to see first. Let's get going.
Okay, we're with 40-something riders and this one's for Jan. And we've got Barry.
Morning, Jan.
And Brian.
Morning, Jan.
And Paul. Oh, and I'm Paul as well.
Barry knows best.
We are at Twisted Oaks.
Twisted Oaks.
And hopefully we're going to be doing a bit of, getting a bit of progression going today. We're going to scare Barry.
Scared me already. Scare him into the drops.
So, well, off to the trails. Yeehaw, yeehaw, yeehaw.
I think the last second of this clip summarized quite well how stoked the guys were after a whole day of progressive riding at Twisted Oaks. What an amazing place. Now, in the last episode, Coach Paul shared with us a series of shoulder exercises that could help you prevent a serious injury like the one I sustained a couple of months ago. In this episode, he is focusing on the merits of the deadlift and how it can help you improve your riding. Coach Paul, over to you.
Hello again, 40-something riders. It's Coach Paul back with more mountain bike specific fitness advice. So what I want to look at with you today is something called the deadlift. Now, some of you may have encountered the deadlift before if you've been around in gyms. Some people think of it as the king of lifts. Some people say it is the hardest lift. I think it's the best lift. Why do I think it's the best lift? Well, it all comes down to how applicable it is to mountain bike positions. If you've watched any really technically capable mountain biker handle a really rough section of trail at speed, you'll see them move in and out of what we call hip flexion and to a certain degree hip extension. Basically, bending at the hips in a very dynamic fashion. Okay. One of the best lifts for improving our strength throughout that range of positions, but also cueing our ability to move really fluidly in and out of hip flexion and hip extension is the deadlift.
Okay, so this is me riding a technical section of trail, and we filmed it in slow-mo so I can talk over it a bit. So what's happening here is as I come to a drop-off in the trail, I will allow my knees to rise up into my body and I allow my hips to extend backwards. Then as I go off the drop, I make sure that I extend my legs and extend my hips to make sure that I maintain contact with the ground, which obviously means that I can brake and be in control and change direction. And really we're just repeating that movement over all of those large trail features, going into hip extension, hip flexion as I go over those large bumps and off those drops. Okay, so let's have a look at that at full speed. And you can see as I come around here, my hips and my legs are really dynamic the whole time. It's keeping me in contact with the trail and meaning that I'm in full control. Okay, so here I am lined up for the deadlift. I've got the bar over the middle of my feet, over the middle of the laced area. I reach down, grab the bar so that my upper arms are pretty close to my knees. And before I pick the bar up, making sure that my hips are pushed back and I'm not rounding in the lower back, I also engage my lats. The way that I do that is I imagine that I am trying to guard my armpits from being tickled by someone. Another cue that I use is imagine you are trying to squeeze lemons using your upper arms and your armpits. Okay, so let's take a really close look at this hinge element of the movement. Imagine that your lower legs are completely immobilized and then you're having to push your hips back as if you're trying to shut a car door with your bum. Or imagine that you're trying to push an invisible button with your backside. It's more about pushing the hips back than it is about bending forwards. Another cue that I want you to keep in mind is that your hips shouldn't shoot up ahead of your chest. They really should all rise in unison. Okay, so here we have a kettlebell version of the lift. Again, make sure that the kettlebell handle is in line with the middle of the foot, the middle of the laced area, and the movement cues are very much the same. Make sure that your hips don't rise faster than your chest. Engage the lats on the way up, and then stand tall at the top of the movement. Don't let your heels come off the ground.
Okay, so I really urge you to give the deadlift a go. Not only is it a phenomenal move for developing hip mobility and hip strength, but it will also help you transmit so much force through the bike, making it easier to pump terrain. It'll improve lower body strength, making it easier to absorb impacts, those big hits that don't come along that often, but when they do, you really know about them. And as I'm always fond of saying, it will also make you a more useful and durable human in general. The deadlift is such a fundamental movement because it transfers over to so many other areas of life. To picking up your kids or your grandkids, helping someone move some heavy stuff like some furniture, and also it builds muscle mass throughout the whole body. So please don't be afraid of the deadlift. Just be mindful of having good lifting technique every single rep. Don't let your ego get in the way. Don't start chasing numbers. Be patient, let the load build up over time, and you'll see really great returns in your riding.
Did you see the speed he carried in this section? That was truly impressive. If you would like Coach Paul to focus on a particular topic in the next episode, please do let us know in the comment section below. Now, going back to progression, I would like to introduce you to Laura, who recently launched a YouTube channel. I love her channel. It is uplifting, honest, and very inspiring, particularly for new riders. And I really wanted Laura to share her journey with you in this episode. So Laura, over to you.
Thanks for that, Jan. Great to be on the show. I am MTB Laura. They say that life begins at 40, and for me, that couldn't have been more true. I got my first mountain bike ride when I was 40 and have not looked back. Currently riding a nuke-proof Megawatt, which is an awesome machine, but I've also got a nuke-proof Scout hardtail, which is starting to make its winter comeback now. Right now, I'm all about progression. Up until about 6 months ago, if I found a feature a bit tricky or scary, I would usually just balance bike around it or hop off the bike. But about 6 months ago, I decided that actually, if I really wanted to enjoy the flow on the trails, on the more technical trails, that I was really going to have to up my game. Met some really wonderful people in the MTB community, made some wonderful friends, the kind of people who stop on the trails a bit that they know I don't like and make me session it until I've got the confidence. It's great seeing more women on the trails as well, and on the YouTube and the Facebook groups as well. There's a lot of group rides happening, and I thoroughly recommend, if you haven't actually been on one, get yourself signed up and get involved. It's really good fun. You're going to make some great friends, and it's going to help your progression. Thank you so much, Jan, for having me on your show. I'll leave you with a few clips from my channel, MTB Laura, and hope to see you out on the trails soon. It turns out that won't be my fastest run on the blue. I haven't done that little silly red off bit that comes off the blue trail that made me cry last time I tried it, and I did it. Whoa. 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 Yes! Woohoo! But I am Tracy Hannah, and I am unstoppable. Whoa. Definitely not doing that one. Look at it. Can you see?
That is the chicken line, babe.
That's the chicken line?
Yeah.
Awesome. Whoa. Whoa. Bouncing about all over the place.
Is that bit that you said was steep?
It is, yeah. I want to see how I feel about that today. I haven't found it yet, so maybe it wasn't steep after all.
Whoa, smashed it.
Hey, holding on for dear life.
Faster. Faster. Well done. Keep going. Yes, girl.
Stream one. Tracy Hannah. Oh, that was my best one yet. It's going to be such a good day. Right, we're doing really well on the Nar today, so let's carry on, back on the trails.
Well done, darling.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. Oh, hush, hush. Oh, hush. That looked a lot bigger than I thought I could do. Whoa, whoa. That's it. They're getting bigger. Woo! I just wanted to stop and show you all this little tiny rollable drop that Andy thinks I should be able to easily ride down. They've been helping me today try and get down some of the gnarlier, more technical trails at Bike Park Wells, so I don't have to stick to the blues all the time. So this one is rollable, 100%. Whoa! Just went for that then. This one isn't rollable. So we just stopped to have a little session on this top part of Hot Stepper. I did just attempt it, but messed up the first drop and ended up balance biking. All in my head. We can do this.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to do that a couple more times and then I'm going to have a go at the big one. What? You said it was rollable?
Thank you very much, Laura. We are now crossing the pond to go to the United States to meet my YouTube friend, Rico. Rico has also been on a brilliant journey, which he too documents on his YouTube channel. And I think he is a great example of what can be achieved regardless of your age on a mountain bike. Rico, over to you, mate.
Well, hey everybody. Thanks for joining me out here in the woods. My name is Rico, and I am the MTB Trail Sherpa. And it's a beautiful day out. I'm blowing the leaves, getting ready for fat bike weather, as you can see, fat tire. And I have a treat for you today. We're going to talk about progression. But first, let me thank Jan for having me on the program, and I wish him a speediest of all recoveries and success with his channel. And Jan suggested to me that I can talk about progression. And when he mentioned progression as a potential topic, I said, heck yeah, progression is easy. Everybody knows what progression is. But then I started thinking about it. And progression can mean so many different things to so many different people. Progression can be how fast somebody goes. I want to go faster. Or it can be how high somebody goes. I want to jump higher. Or what kind of terrain they can ride. I want to go over the rockiest stuff. What kind of drops? It could be something like, I want a new bike and get a suspension bike. I want to progress up my caliber of bike. So progression can be a lot of different things to everybody, because what I consider progression for myself may seem like, whoa, that's amazing to other people. And to another group of people, they may be like, you call that progression? So it's a deeply personal thing. So whatever you do, don't let anybody convince you or pressure you into doing something that you're not ready for. So progression is also a life lesson in commitment, because when you want to get to the next level of something, you've got to fully commit. I find if I hold back a little bit when I'm trying something new, I tend to not be overly successful. But if I just clear my mind, I can visualize what I want to do and commit to it, it becomes so much easier. And then I get done and I'm sure everyone is like, wow, that wasn't so hard. What was I waiting for? What was I afraid of? So it's okay to compare your progression to other people, but never judge yourself based upon someone else's progression, because you don't know what their story is. They may have been riding since they were 5, or they may have just started riding last year and they're already at your level. So compare, but don't judge. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my progression. I'm 58. I've got both hips replaced. So my progression, I didn't start riding mountain bikes really aggressively until about 7 years ago. And for probably 10 years, I just rode my bikes. When I found dirt, I found I loved riding on dirt. Dirt's my passion. So when I ride dirt, I just really enjoyed it. And I never really thought about getting better or setting goals of how high I wanted to jump or anything. So for 10 years, I rode a lot of trails, and just, I call it unconscious progression, because I wasn't really conscious of, I was progressing. I was getting better at going over roots. I was getting better at going over rocks. I was getting better at doing little jumps, drops, and things like that. I never really thought about them. I just started doing them. So that's unconscious progression. In the last 2 years, I started wrenching on my own bike. And that made a big difference for me, because I have confidence in my gear. I know what it's going to do for me. And so I started really setting some goals, and I started hitting bigger drops, bigger jumps. I started going to places where I had to consistently challenge myself and but repetition definitely helped. I don't have a lot of big jumps around me, so when I go someplace and I have big jumps, I try and session them. So I just keep going over and over again until I feel comfortable with that. And what's cool is 2 years ago I started practicing wheelies. I've always wanted to learn how to wheelie. I'm getting okay at them. I'm not the best, but what I found was trying something new and trying to get better at it actually increased and improved my skill sets on the trails. So for the last 2 years, I've been getting bigger and bigger jumps and feeling more and more comfortable on them. And what I used to think would never be attainable for me, different types of jumps to hit, now I'm actually having fun on it. And I tell you what, and some of you already know this, when you hit a jump and you land so smooth you don't even feel your tires touching the ground, that's an adrenaline rush. You're like, whoa, I want to do that again. So everybody's progression is personal to them. Compare yourself to others, but don't judge your progression on others' progression. Just keep having fun, doing the things that you're comfortable doing. So one other thing that has helped my progression, let's see if we can recap. First, just ride. The more you ride, the more you experience. And the more you experience, you start adding tools to your toolbox, like how to go off a curb, how to go up a step. I guess just riding a lot is the biggest thing that can help your progress. Riding with others above your level so that you can see people do different things shows you that you can do it. And once you decide you want to do something, don't half commit. That's a recipe for trouble. I try to visualize in my mind. I use a lot of visualization of what's it going to feel like to land that? What's it going to feel like to launch? What should I do? So visualization helps me. Ride different trails. My wife and I, 4 years ago, started a quest to ride mountain bike in all 50 states of America. We are up to 24 states, and I tell you what, every state we've gone to has different types of trails. They're unique. You see different things, and the more things you see, you come back to your home trails and you're like, well, I used to be scared of that, and now I'm not, because I rode it somewhere else without even thinking about it. Jan, thank you so much for having me on your program. Wish you speedy recovery, because I want to see some more videos out of you, and I want to see your progression.
Thank you, Rico. Now, a few months ago, when scrolling through the page of the group, I came across Justin, and I was so impressed by the amount of air he was getting on his bike that I wanted to invite him on the show to introduce himself, his bike, and his local area. Justin, over to you.
Hey 40-something riders, my name is Justin Ingram. Jan has asked me to do a quick bio on myself, my bike, and what I get up to on weekends. I'm 48 years old and live in Surrey. I'm fairly close to Swinley, but oddly enough, very rarely ride at Swinley. Trails within probably 500 meters of my back door, and all natural single track. Been riding since the age of about 6. As with most riders, got into the BMX scene in the 80s, heydays, and sort of migrated to the freestyle and street scene as well, also with a good bag of racing as well for many years. Stopped riding at the age of 21, just after I came out of the army for various reasons, and got the bug again in probably mid-30s, and haven't looked back since. I ride every weekend, and as fast as I can, not necessarily as recklessly as I can, but just be aiming at having good fun. My bike, you can see in the background, it's a Banshee Rune, one of the Canadian North Shore mountain bike stables. Really, really capable bike. But enough about me, let's have a look at the bike. And there she is. This is a 2016 Banshee Rune frame in a medium. Optimized 480mm forks up front with a 160mm shock on the back. We'll start from the bottom up. Tires wise, we are running Maxxis Minions DHF 2.5 trail wides with a Maxxis High Roller 2 on the rear. That's a 2.35. Run that combo all year round because it gives me a consistent level of grip all year round. Drivetrain wise, Shimano SLX, 11 speed, deal cranks with Crank Brothers stamp, large pedals. Wheels wise, we are running Stans flows with 3.3 HD hubs front and back. Onto the squishy bits, 160mm RockShox pikes with the debonair conversion. If you do run pikes and you haven't done the debonair conversion, I would urge you to do it. It transforms the forks like you wouldn't believe. Currently the forks are set at 160, although the frame is optimized for 180. Only reason I ride 160 is because I don't need anything bigger for the area that I ride. On the rear, RockShox Monarch RC3 shock. Fairly standard in its makeup and specification, no modifications to that. That is a debonair shock though, so it's got the same squishy bits that the forks have got. In terms of the perch, STG Falcon saddle, which is looking a bit tatty, but my bike's built for riding, not for showing. Controls wise, Fun 785 riser bars. That's a 10mm rise with about a 5-degree back sweep, nothing major. Stopping department, Shimano XT brakes with calipers. All-round absolute weapon of a bike. And if you don't know much about the Banshees, not to be confused with the Carrera Banshees as of the Halfords brand, it's got nothing to do with it in any shape, way or form. This is as North Shore as you're going to get. Let's go and have a look at the trails. Right, that's us for today. I had a great day, or great couple of hours, just riding my locals. Thanks for joining us. If you want to see a little bit more, jump onto my Instagram page, Man on Banshee. Yeah, happy trails and stay safe.
Thank you, Justin. Now, it is time to reveal the winners of our photo competition. This part of the show is dedicated to the beautiful places and breathtaking sceneries where our mountain bikes take us to. I'll remind you of how it works. Every episode, I will select what I think are the 5 most spectacular shots submitted by you, and you get to vote for these shots in the comment section below. The person that gets the most votes will win this t-shirt, and one of you will also be picked randomly in the comment section below to win a t-shirt. The winners of the first episode's competition are Addy and Picture 2 by an overwhelming majority of the votes, and Stuart Mini, you have been randomly selected as the winner of the comment section. Slide into my DM so I can send you your prize. Now, let's look at the submission for this episode. Don't forget to cast your vote in the comment section below for a chance to win, and don't forget to send your photos onto FSRMTB@gmail.com. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the show, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you want to take part in the show, get in touch. If you want to come and ride with us, join our community and share your passion with like-minded riders. Ride safe.